Mr. Corrigan was a kind man, but not very bright. He lived in a bright pink house with a dog named Buster. Buster was a mischievous mutt with a nose for trouble. One sunny afternoon, Mr. Corrigan was sipping his tea in the garden. He was reading a newspaper article about giant carrots. Buster was sniffing around the flower beds, his tail wagging excitedly. "What are you up to, Buster?" Mr. Corrigan asked, peering over his newspaper. Buster just barked and continued digging. Mr. Corrigan chuckled. "Probably after another bone," he muttered, returning to his article. Little did he know, Buster wasn't digging up bones. He was about to unearth something much more shocking. Buster dug with all his might. His paws sent dirt flying everywhere. Finally he hit something. It wasn't a bone, it was furry and cold. Buster dragged his prize out of the flower bed. It was Snowball, the neighbor's fluffy white poodle. Only Snowball wasn't so fluffy anymore. He was covered in dirt and his tongue stuck out at an odd angle. Buster, being a dog, didn't understand death. He thought Snowball was just very, very dirty. He wagged his tail proudly and dropped Snowball at Mr. Corrigan's feet "Woof!" Buster barked, dropping the muddy, lifeless Snowball onto Mr. Corrigan's newspaper. "Buster, bad dog!" Mr. Corrigan cried, jumping up in alarm. He looked down at the muddy creature at his feet. "Goodness me, what have we here?" Mr. Corrigan squinted. He thought he recognized the furry lump. "Is that you, Snowball?" He peered closer. "Poor thing, you're filthy!" Mr. Corrigan, ever the helpful neighbor, decided to give Snowball a bath. He filled a bucket with soapy water and grabbed an old sponge. Snowball didn't move an inch. Such a well-behaved dog, Mr. Corrigan thought. After his bath, Snowball looked almost as good as new. "There you go," Mr. Corrigan said, attaching his spare dog leash to Snowball's collar. "Back to your owner." He marched over to his neighbor's house and tied Snowball's leash to the doorknob. "He's all yours," he called out, giving Snowball a friendly pat. The next morning, Mr. Corrigan was startled by his angry neighbor banging on his door. "Mr. Corrigan! Did you do this?" she shrieked, holding up a very stiff, very dead Snowball. Mr. Corrigan almost fainted. "Goodness me!" he stammered. But I gave him a bath and returned him to you." The neighbor just stared at him, speechless. Mr. Corrigan, confused and a little frightened, slowly closed the door. He couldn't understand what was so strange about a dog needing 2 baths in a row.